Hello, friends. How long could you survive without food or water? A day? Maybe a week? What if some creatures on this planet can go without it for months, even years? From the burning deserts to the frozen edges of the earth, nature has built survivors that break every rule we thought we knew about life. Animals that slow their heartbeat to almost nothing, store water inside their bodies like living canteens, or bury themselves in silence, waiting for the world to wake up again. While they don't eat, don't drink, and yet they live on. You think you know what true endurance looks like? Wait until you meet these champions of survival. The animal kingdom is full of survivors with abilities that challenge everything we know about life itself. Some creatures can go days without food or water, others last for weeks, and a few can endure months or even years without a single sip or bite. They slow their hearts, lower their energy use, store water inside their bodies, and wait patiently while time passes by. These animals have evolved tricks that make them champions of endurance, living proof that survival isn't about strength alone, but about adapting in ways we can barely imagine. In this video, we'll meet the creatures that turn hunger and thirst into nothing more than a test they were born to win. When we think of survival, we picture strength, speed, or sharp claws. But the real masters of endurance win by doing the opposite. These animals slow down, shut off, or store what little they have to outlast nature's harshest challenges. From deserts with no rain for months to frozen wastelands where food vanishes, they've evolved secrets that let them go without eating or drinking for unimaginable lengths of time. In this story, we'll meet creatures that bend the rules of biology itself. Camels that can turn fat into water, snails that sleep for years, crocodiles, and snakes that can feast once and vanish into stillness for months. Bears that live half a year on nothing but stored energy, and even tiny beings that can survive droughts like living time capsules. Each one tells a part of the same story. That survival isn't just about what you have, but how you use it when the world gives you nothing. Have you ever thought a tiny, fragile frog could outsmart predators, not by running or fighting, but by playing one of the most convincing tricks in nature? Many frog species have mastered deception as their #1 survival tool, using false signals, fake movements, and incredible disguises to turn hunters into the hunted or simply confuse them long enough to escape. One of the most remarkable examples is the red-eyed tree frog and other tropical species that perform a perfect act of distraction when danger closes in. Instead of fleeing immediately, which would expose them, these frogs stay perfectly still, blending with leaves using their green coloration, becoming invisible in plain sight. But when a snake, bird, or larger lizard gets too close, the frog suddenly opens its eyes wide, flashing bright red or yellow colors on its limbs, startling the predator for a crucial second. That single moment of confusion is all it needs to leap to safety. Other frogs use an even more cunning approach. Some play dead, flipping onto their backs, remaining motionless, letting predators believe they are already rotting or toxic. Many amphibians release unpleasant-smelling secretions when threatened, selling the act with perfect realism. Predators that rely on movement and smell lose interest, thinking the prey is unfit to eat. Some frogs combine trickery with mimicry, flattening their bodies or inflating themselves to look larger and more dangerous, while others imitate leaves, bark, or even bird droppings, making hunters look right past them without realizing their meal is inches away. There are species like the false-eyed frog that have large spots on their hind legs, resembling the eyes of a much bigger animal. When they feel threatened, they lift their legs, showing these fake eyes to terrify or confuse attackers, making them think they're facing a dangerous predator instead of a small amphibian. Scientists have observed frogs using these tactics repeatedly, switching between staying invisible, pretending to be dead, or performing sudden shots, depending on which enemy approaches. It's not brute force or fast legs that keep these fragile creatures alive in forests full of hunters. It's pure strategy, a performance honed by evolution to trick even the smartest predator. In a world where a split-second decision decides who eats and who escapes, frogs prove that cleverness, illusion, and a perfectly timed lie can be more powerful than claws or teeth. Their tricks may look simple to us, but they are a masterpiece of survival theater, played out night after night on the rainforest stage, where every jump could be the last if not for the power of deception. What if you could sleep through nearly half a year without food, without water, and still wake up alive and strong? That's exactly what grizzly bears and other large bear species do every winter, turning their own bodies into survival machines that defy what we think life needs to keep going. As the cold months close in and food becomes scarce, bears gorge themselves through late summer and fall, building thick layers of fat that will be their only fuel for the long months ahead. When winter arrives, they retreat to dens, caves, or hollow logs and enter a state called hibernation. But this isn't just a deep sleep, it's a near-complete shutdown of their bodies designed for survival. Their heart rate drops from 50 beats per minute to as low as 8. Their breathing slows dramatically, their body temperature lowers, and their entire metabolism shifts to run on fat alone. For up to 7 months, bears don't eat, don't drink, don't urinate, and don't defecate. Their bodies recycle waste products into proteins, preventing poisoning from toxins that would kill other animals. Even their muscles and bones stay strong despite months of no movement, avoiding the atrophy that humans would suffer if bedridden for even a few weeks. Pregnant females perform an even greater miracle. They give birth during hibernation, nursing tiny cubs while still fasting, surviving entirely on their stored fat and water reserves locked in their tissues. Scientists have marveled at this ability because no other large mammal can sustain itself this way for so long without permanent damage. When spring arrives and bears finally wake, they are weak and hungry, but very much alive, ready to hunt and forage again. Incredibly, they can lose up to 1/3 of their body weight during hibernation, yet their organs, muscles, and bones remain fully functional. In a world where survival usually means constant movement and feeding, bears have mastered a different rule. When the world gives you nothing, you don't fight it. You shut everything down, turning stored energy into life for months on end. Watching a bear emerge from its den after half a year of living on nothing but the power of its own body is witnessing one of nature's greatest endurance feats. Proof that sometimes survival isn't about what you can find. It's about how long you can last without needing anything at all. You probably think of snails as fragile, slow creatures that wouldn't last a day without water or food, but the truth is shocking. Some species can survive years, even decades, without eating or drinking a drop, all thanks to one of nature's most extreme survival mechanisms. Certain giant African land snails can endure droughts and harsh environments by entering a state called estivation, a kind of biological pause button where their entire metabolism almost shuts down. When conditions turn deadly, no rain, no plants to eat, blistering sun, these snails retreat into their shells, sealing themselves off with a layer of hardened mucus, like building a protective door. Inside, their heartbeat slows, their breathing nearly stops, and they survive on the tiniest traces of energy stored in their bodies, losing almost no water for months or even years. In some recorded cases, snails have been packed away, forgotten in shipping containers or storage for over 5 years, only to wake up alive when moisture returned, crawling out as if nothing had happened. This isn't luck, it's evolution's ultimate endurance trick. A snail can regulate its internal chemistry to avoid damage from dehydration, recycling fluids inside its tiny body, and keeping its organs alive on what would be nothing for other creatures. Even their shells tell a story of survival, layers hardened to trap every bit of humidity, turning their own home into a life capsule against death. Scientists believe this ability evolved to survive long African dry seasons, where rain might not fall for years. And when the first drops finally return, the snail simply breaks its seal, stretches out, and resumes life as if time never passed. Imagine not eating or drinking for a decade and waking up ready to go. For these snails, it's reality. This extreme adaptation shows that survival isn't just about finding food or water. It's about mastering the art of waiting, of making a single meal last forever, of keeping life on hold until the world is ready to welcome it back. These tiny creatures prove that endurance doesn't always roar. Sometimes it moves slowly, hides away, and outlasts even time itself. Imagine having the power to vanish right before your enemy's eyes, not by running or hiding, but by rewriting how you look in an instant. That's the incredible survival skill of the cuttlefish, one of the ocean's most gifted illusionists. These creatures live in waters full of predators, sharks, large fish, even other cuttlefish. Yet they thrive not by fighting or fleeing, but by tricking attackers at a level that feels almost supernatural. Their skin is covered with millions of specialized pigment cells called chromatophores, iridophores, and papillae, allowing them to change color, reflect light, and even alter the texture of their skin in milliseconds. One moment they look like a patch of sand, the next like a bed of seaweed or a jagged rock, making them vanish into their surroundings so completely that predators swim right past without noticing. But camouflage is only the start of their genius. Cuttlefish can send rapid pulses of color across their bodies to confuse attackers, creating flickering patterns that disrupt a predator's ability to focus, buying precious seconds to escape. Some scientists believe these moving patterns act almost like hypnotic waves, overwhelming the vision of predators and causing hesitation just long enough for the cuttlefish to dart away. These animals also use mimicry to avoid becoming a meal. They can imitate dangerous or unpalatable creatures, adopting the shape and colors of venomous fish or toxic sea slugs, sending a clear message to hunters: "I'm not safe to eat." Unlike most prey animals that simply react to threats, cuttlefish seem to assess their attackers, adjusting their disguise or patterns depending on who's hunting them and what environment they're in. This quick decision-making shows remarkable intelligence, giving them one of the most advanced survival toolkits in the ocean. Scientists studying cuttlefish in labs have seen them plan their moves, using objects for cover and choosing specific patterns to outwit predators or sneak up on their own prey. Watching a cuttlefish escape danger feels like witnessing magic. One second it's there, a soft-bodied target in plain sight. The next, it has melted into the ocean floor, leaving attackers confused and searching. In a world where brute force usually decides life or death, cuttlefish prove that the sharpest survival strategy isn't teeth or speed. It's the ability to make your enemies doubt what they see, hesitate for just a moment, and lose their chance to strike. Evolution has made the cuttlefish a true master of deception, turning invisibility and illusion into a way of life that keeps them alive in a world full of danger. You may think of scorpions as small desert hunters, striking fast and fierce, but their most impressive power is their ability to almost stop time inside their own bodies, surviving up to a full year without a single meal. These ancient arachnids have been perfecting endurance for over 400 million years, making them one of nature's toughest survivors. When food is scarce, scorpions activate their ultimate survival mode. Their metabolism slows to a crawl, their heart rate drops to nearly nothing, and their oxygen consumption is reduced to just a fraction of normal levels. They can sit perfectly still, barely moving for weeks or months, conserving every drop of energy, waiting for the moment prey comes close enough for a strike. This isn't starvation, it's mastery over their own biology. Scorpions are cold-blooded, which means they don't waste energy on staying warm, but their adaptation goes far beyond that. They can enter a semi-dormant state, stretching the nutrients from a single meal for months, something no mammal could ever hope to do. Even their body fluids are used with precision, avoiding dehydration in the hottest deserts, allowing them to live where water may not fall for a year or more. Their survival isn't limited to skipping meals. Scorpions can survive in oxygen levels so low most creatures would suffocate, and they can even endure freezing nights and blazing hot days without losing balance in their systems. Scientists have tested their resilience by sealing them off from food for months. When released, they walked out alive, ready to hunt again as if nothing happened. This ability to endure long periods of scarcity makes them one of the planet's most adaptable predators. Imagine being able to sit in complete stillness for months, heart beating just enough to keep you alive, muscles ready to explode the moment prey comes near. Scorpions don't panic when the world runs dry. They wait, perfectly patient, their bodies like locked-down machines set for survival. This astonishing endurance has allowed scorpions to thrive through mass extinctions, environmental disasters, and endless droughts, making them a living symbol of nature's ability to outlast almost anything. In a world where food can vanish and water is a dream, the scorpion doesn't fight or fear. It simply pauses, a silent desert shadow built to survive time itself. At first glance, a frog doesn't look like an animal built for extreme endurance, but some species have evolved survival tactics so powerful they can live nearly a year without a single meal or drop of water, turning themselves into living stones waiting for the world to change. One of the most impressive examples is the African bullfrog. When the blazing sun dries up its ponds and rain won't come for months, this frog doesn't panic or search endlessly for water. It simply burrows deep underground and enters a state of suspended life. Hidden beneath the soil, it begins to shed layers of skin that harden around its body like a tough cocoon, sealing in precious moisture and preventing deadly dehydration. Inside this self-made capsule, its heartbeat slows, its breathing becomes nearly undetectable, and it waits, surviving on tiny reserves of stored energy while the outside world turns to dust. Scientists have recorded these frogs staying hidden for almost a year without food or water, emerging only when the rains return to flood the land again. The moment it feels the vibrations of distant thunder or the first drops of moisture seep into the ground, the frog awakens, pushing through the earth, shedding its cocoon, and leaping back to life as if time had stood still. This ability is not just impressive, it's critical for survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth, where ponds can vanish for months and food disappears entirely. The frog's body is built for this challenge. It can reduce its energy use to almost nothing, recycle fluids internally, and endure conditions that would kill most creatures in days. Even its organs are protected during this long hibernation, staying perfectly preserved despite the brutal heat and lack of water. Imagine sleeping for a year, not eating, not drinking, yet waking up ready to hunt and mate within hours. That's the kind of biological magic these frogs perform. They are a living reminder that survival doesn't always mean fighting or running. Sometimes it means knowing when to stop, shut down, and wait for the world to become safe again. In deserts and dry savannas, where life vanishes and only dust remains, these frogs hide beneath the earth like time travelers, proving that endurance isn't just about strength. It's about mastering patience on a level few other animals can match. You probably think of sloths as lazy, slow, and fragile. But what if I told you their secret to survival is a superpower we can only dream of? The ability to live on almost nothing for weeks, sometimes months, without weakening or starving. Sloths are among the most energy-efficient animals on Earth, built not for speed or power, but for mastering life in slow motion. Living high in tropical rainforests, they've adapted to survive on a diet so poor in calories that most animals would starve in days. Sloths eat mainly leaves, tough, fibrous, nutrient-poor leaves, yet they've turned this meager diet into a strategy that allows them to survive with minimal food and water for long periods of time. Their secret lies in their ultra-slow metabolism. A sloth's heart rate and body temperature are among the lowest for any mammal of its size, and they burn energy at an astonishingly slow pace. Digestion can take up to a month for a single meal to fully pass through their system, meaning every leaf eaten is stretched to its maximum potential, extracting every last bit of nutrition and moisture. Because their food provides so little water, sloths have evolved to conserve it like no other. They barely sweat, lose almost no fluids through waste, and can rely solely on water extracted from leaves and occasional rainfall. In extreme conditions, sloths can go weeks without direct access to fresh water. Moving little, sleeping for up to 20 hours a day, and letting their bodies slip into a state of near stasis where hunger and thirst almost disappear. Scientists have observed sloths surviving long dry spells by slowing their metabolism even further to levels that would put most mammals into a fatal coma. Yet sloths stay alive, strong enough to climb, feed slowly, and evade predators with their stillness and camouflage. Their endurance isn't about storing fat or finding large meals. It's about living so efficiently that they need almost nothing to keep going. In the jungle's harshest moments, when storms strip trees bare or droughts kill young leaves, other herbivores panic and starve, but sloths simply wait. They move slower than time itself, using patience as their shield, conserving energy, making a handful of leaves last for what feels like forever. They have perfected a survival strategy that trades speed for endurance. Sometimes winning the battle for life isn't about racing ahead. It's about knowing how to stay alive when the world gives you almost nothing at all. What would you do if your only way to survive was to turn yourself into something too big and too scary to swallow? For the pufferfish, this bizarre but brilliant strategy is its ticket to life in oceans full of predators. Normally, a pufferfish is a small, harmless-looking creature drifting close to coral reefs. But the moment danger approaches, it transforms. Its body has evolved an extraordinary defense mechanism. It gulps massive amounts of water or air, expanding to several times its normal size in just seconds. Suddenly, what looked like an easy meal becomes a spiky, unmanageable balloon. Many predators, startled or unable to bite down, give up immediately, and the pufferfish swims away alive. Some species take this defense further with sharp spines that pop out as the fish inflates, turning their soft, harmless-looking bodies into floating armored balls that can injure a predator's mouth. But size isn't their only trick. Pufferfish also carry one of the most potent natural toxins on Earth, tetrodotoxin, in their skin and organs. Even if a predator manages to grab them, it risks a deadly dose of poison that can paralyze or kill within minutes. This makes most attackers learn fast to never try a pufferfish twice. What makes this strategy so remarkable is how well-timed and controlled it is. Pufferfish don't stay inflated long. It's exhausting and risky for their bodies. But they do it with perfect timing, waiting until the last possible second when a predator lunges. Researchers observing wild pufferfish have seen them outsmarting larger hunters, hiding briefly, and then inflating in narrow spaces where they wedge themselves like a living barricade impossible to pull out. This combination of deception, size manipulation, and chemical warfare makes the pufferfish one of the most cunning survivors in the ocean. It doesn't fight back with teeth or speed, but with shock, surprise, and a body that says, "Try me and regret it forever." In a world where being small usually means being prey, the pufferfish has flipped the rules of survival, proving that sometimes the smartest escape is to become a nightmare. No predator wants to bite twice. Mom, what if the deadliest hunter in your backyard could sit in silence for half a year, waiting for one single meal to appear? Spiders, especially tarantulas and other ambush hunters, are masters of endurance, able to survive months without food or water, relying only on the perfection of their patience and biology. These eight-legged predators are built for scarcity. When prey vanishes or the seasons turn harsh, their metabolism slows to an almost frozen state, every heartbeat and breath stretched as far as nature allows. Some species have been observed going 6 months or more without a meal, sitting perfectly still in their webs or hiding in burrows, conserving energy in a way that seems impossible for a living creature. Scientists studying tarantulas in captivity have recorded cases where they were fed just a few times a year, yet they remained healthy, active, and ready to strike whenever food returned. The secret lies in their cold-blooded efficiency. They don't burn energy to stay warm like mammals do, and their bodies are designed to extract every drop of nutrition from each hunt. A single insect or small rodent can fuel a spider for weeks or months, its internal systems working slowly but relentlessly to make sure nothing is wasted. Even water isn't always necessary. Many spiders get hydration from their prey, allowing them to survive long, dry periods in deserts or sealed-off burrows underground. Their survival strategy isn't frantic searching, it's absolute stillness. They wait, traps set, sensing the tiniest vibration in the air or on a strand of silk, ready to strike when opportunity finally crawls by. This ability to endure famine makes spiders some of the most resilient predators on the planet. Imagine sitting in the dark for half a year, moving only when the promise of life walks past you, and yet staying strong, fast, deadly. That's the spider's way, a silent master of patience, proving that in nature, survival doesn't always belong to the biggest or loudest hunter, but to the one who can wait longer than the rest of the world can stand. Did you know that camels don't actually store water in their humps, yet they can travel across the deadliest deserts on Earth for weeks or even months without a single drink? These incredible animals are nature's ultimate survival machines, designed over millions of years to endure conditions that would kill most creatures in hours. Their humps hold fat, not water, but this fat is their secret weapon. When food and water are gone, their bodies slowly break down these fat reserves, turning them into both energy and hydration that keeps them alive under the scorching sun. A camel can lose up to 25% of its body weight in water, an amount that would be fatal to a human. Yet it keeps walking, carrying loads for miles, seemingly unfazed by the suffocating heat. Their blood cells are oval-shaped, unlike ours, allowing blood to flow freely, even when thickened by dehydration. This unique adaptation prevents organ failure and lets the camel endure thirst levels no other mammal could survive. Their nostrils work like built-in water filters, capturing moisture from every exhale and recycling it back into their system, while also closing tightly during sandstorms to protect their lungs. Inside their bodies, the kidneys and intestines are so efficient they extract every drop of water possible, producing thick, concentrated urine and dry droppings that lose almost no liquid. Their body temperature rises during the day and drops at night, reducing the need for sweating and saving more precious water. Their fur reflects sunlight. Their long eyelashes and double-layered eyelids shield their eyes from searing winds, and their wide, padded feet carry them over burning sand without sinking or blistering. When they finally find water after a long, brutal trek, they can drink over 100 liters in just a few minutes, rehydrating faster than any other animal on Earth, preparing for another long march through nothingness. Camels can detect water sources miles away, navigate vast deserts without landmarks, and survive on thorny plants that would poison or injure other animals. They can withstand brutal heat by adjusting their internal temperature, even tolerating swings from freezing nights to 50-degree-C days without distress. Every part of their body is a masterpiece of desert engineering, a living fortress designed to turn scarcity into survival. To watch a camel in the heart of the desert is to witness the pinnacle of endurance. An animal that carries its own fuel, its own water, its own shelter, walking through a world where life itself should be impossible, and yet doing it with quiet, relentless strength that nothing can match. Have you ever imagined escaping death not by running or fighting, but by tricking your enemy into believing you're something far more dangerous than you really are? Many butterflies have mastered this art of deception, turning their delicate, colorful wings into shields of illusion that keep predators away. To a bird or lizard, a butterfly might seem like an easy meal, fragile and defenseless, but what they see isn't always what they think. Certain butterfly species have large eye-like patterns on their wings, known as false eyes, that make them look like much bigger, more threatening creatures. When danger approaches, the butterfly suddenly flashes these giant eye spots by spreading its wings wide, creating the terrifying illusion that the predator is staring into the gaze of an owl, a snake, or another powerful hunter. In an instant, the attacker hesitates, startled and confused, giving the butterfly the perfect chance to escape unharmed. But the tricks don't stop there. Some butterflies take camouflage to the next level, folding their wings to resemble dried leaves, bark, or even bird droppings, becoming practically invisible when they rest. Predators scanning for food see nothing but debris or waste, never realizing a living meal is right in front of them. Other species mimic the colors and patterns of poisonous butterflies, despite being harmless themselves. Birds that have tasted or witnessed the real toxic version learn to avoid that pattern for life, sparing the mimic species without them ever having to fight or flee. Scientists call this Batesian mimicry, an evolutionary masterpiece where survival is built on reputation and trickery rather than strength. In tropical rainforests, butterfly deception becomes a full show. Some species flip their wings to alternate between camouflage and warning patterns in a split second, dazzling predators and creating a confusing visual storm that makes it almost impossible to follow their movements. Every false eye, every fake wing pattern, every leaf-like disguise is part of a long evolutionary game of outsmarting hunters, turning vulnerability into an advantage. These insects survive not because they're fast or strong, but because they've learned how to control what predators believe, rewriting the story of life and death with a simple, perfect lie painted on their wings. Watching a butterfly escape danger this way is like seeing nature's own sleight of hand, a silent, breathtaking trick that leaves even the fiercest hunters second-guessing what's real and what's an illusion. Could you imagine surviving months on end without a single sip of water, without a single bite of food, simply by turning your own body into a living reservoir? The desert tortoise does exactly that, making it one of nature's most incredible endurance champions. Life in arid wastelands is unforgiving. Rain may not fall for months, plants wither, streams dry up, and the sun scorches everything in sight. While other animals wander desperately in search of water, the tortoise relies on its secret weapon, the ability to store life inside itself. Desert tortoises have evolved specialized bladders capable of holding large amounts of water for extended periods, sometimes for an entire year. They don't waste a drop. Every bit of liquid they drink or gather from succulent plants is stored safely, ready to be reused again and again. Their bodies are masters of recycling. Even waste products are reabsorbed for hydration, a trick few creatures can perform without poisoning themselves. When drought strikes, the tortoise doesn't panic or flee. It simply retreats into its burrow, slows its heart, lowers its energy use, and survives on the bare minimum. Its thick shell and skin prevent water loss, while its ability to tolerate high levels of toxins in the blood allows it to endure what would kill most other animals. These reptiles can go months without eating, using fat reserves in their bodies and feeding on whatever sparse vegetation appears after rare rainfalls. In fact, scientists have documented cases where tortoises survived nearly an entire year without direct access to water, relying solely on stored reserves and occasional dew. Even their behavior is designed to stretch survival. They dig underground to escape extreme heat, remaining hidden and inactive to avoid burning precious energy. When the rain finally comes, tortoises emerge from their burrows and drink enormous amounts of water in one session, refilling their reserves for the next long, dry stretch, sometimes storing enough to last many seasons. This slow, deliberate lifestyle allows them to live for decades, some even surpassing a century, turning patience and efficiency into an unbeatable survival strategy. In the harsh desert, where life clings to existence and mistakes mean death, the tortoise doesn't just endure. It masters time, carrying its own supply of life inside its body, waiting calmly for the world to give it another chance. It's a reminder that true strength isn't always speed or aggression. Sometimes it's the quiet, relentless ability to last when everything else fades away. Ever wondered what it feels like to eat once and not feel hunger for an entire year? Some snakes can do exactly that, turning one massive meal into a ticket for months of survival, making them masters of patience and endurance in the animal kingdom. Pythons and rattlesnakes are the best examples of this incredible ability. Unlike most animals that must eat daily or weekly to stay alive, these snakes can feast on a large prey item, a deer, a pig, or even something as big as themselves, and then vanish into hiding for months, sometimes nearly a full year, without touching another bite. Their bodies are designed to make every ounce of food count. After swallowing prey whole, they can expand their stomach and produce a flood of digestive enzymes so powerful that bones, fur, and organs are completely dissolved. Once the meal is processed, their metabolism slows dramatically, sometimes dropping by more than 70%, conserving energy like no mammal can. Even their internal organs change. Their heart and digestive system shrink after feeding, reducing energy use, and then expand again when the next meal comes, like a biological switch that saves life in times of scarcity. Snakes can live in harsh environments where food is rare because they are prepared to wait, hiding in burrows, under rocks, or coiled on a tree branch. For months, barely moving, heart beating slowly, living off stored energy. Scientists have observed large snakes surviving over 10 months in the wild after a single successful hunt, their bodies perfectly adapted to long periods of fasting without losing strength or hunting skills. This isn't just hunger tolerance. It's a survival strategy millions of years in the making, allowing snakes to thrive in deserts, jungles, and swamps, where prey can disappear for seasons. Unlike predators that burn energy constantly chasing food, snakes strike only when the reward is big enough to last, then become shadows, silent and still, turning patience into power. In nature, where every mistake can mean death, snakes have learned one truth: few animals can match. Survival isn't about eating often, it's about eating smart. Once, and making it last longer than anyone would think possible. They say survival is about strength or speed, but these animals prove it's about something far more powerful: the ability to outlast the impossible. We've seen camels crossing burning deserts without a drop of water for weeks, crocodiles turning one meal into life for months, and snails sealing themselves away to sleep through years of drought. Sharks and snakes can feast once and disappear for entire seasons, while scorpions wait in stillness for a year on nothing but patience. Emperor penguins stand in brutal storms for 4 months without food. Frogs entomb themselves underground to wait out a dead earth, and spiders hide in silence for half a year, surviving on a single lucky hunt. Bears turn their own fat into fuel for 7 long months of hibernation. Tortoises carry their water inside. Sloths live in slow motion on almost nothing, and albatrosses cross oceans, surviving on hope and endurance. Each one reveals a truth about life we often forget. Survival isn't just about fighting or winning. It's about knowing how to last when the world gives you nothing at all, turning time, patience, and adaptation into the greatest superpowers nature ever created. We like to believe survival is a matter of willpower, but these animals prove it's something far greater. A delicate balance between biology, adaptation, and time itself. Their ability to endure weeks, months, even years without food or water reshapes what we think life needs to keep going. It shows that intelligence isn't only about thought, and strength isn't only about force. True power can be quiet, hidden in the ability to wait, to stretch a single drop of water, a single meal, into life itself. These creatures are living proof that nature doesn't follow human rules. It writes its own, turning emptiness into opportunity and scarcity into survival. They remind us that life can persist in places where everything says it shouldn't. That sometimes the greatest victory is simply staying alive when the world tries to erase you. In the end, these endurance champions challenge us to see survival not as a fight, but as an art. One perfected long before we ever learned to call ourselves resilient. We've just witnessed some of nature's toughest survivors, animals that can defy hunger, thirst, and time itself, proving that life finds a way even in the harshest, most impossible conditions. From deserts with no rain to frozen wastelands, from the depths of the oceans to the endless skies, these creatures have turned endurance into their ultimate weapon, rewriting everything we thought we knew about survival. If this video opened your eyes to just how incredible the natural world can be, hit that like button, subscribe for more stories that reveal nature's hidden power, and share this with someone who needs to see what true resilience looks like. Now it's your turn. Which of these animals impressed you the most? Which one would you never want to trade places with? And do you know of another champion of survival we should include next time? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because the world is full of untold stories of life pushing past the limits, and together we'll uncover them all.